Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of my Create This Book series by me and Moriah Elizabeth. Today I'm going to be doing 3 more prompts in this book. Before I begin, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's see what we can create for today. Flipping over to the first prompt of the day, which is to create straight lines. But first we need my fake plant paperweight here, and also some candy fuel energy, and then I'm bringing in a ruler because that is necessary in order to create straight lines. And what I'm doing first is creating boxes all around the right side of the page. That way I can do a whole bunch of different designs using lines to see which one I like better, and then ultimately put one in the big box on the left. But we're going to need a smaller ruler to fit inside of these boxes. So then I decided to just try out a whole bunch of different designs only using straight lines, which at first I stuck with really traditional kind of patterns like checkers, but then expounded a little bit and did some little stripe zigzags here like little lightning bolts, and then I went ahead and even thought about doing squares. So I was trying to get a little more creative than just using completely straight lines in the way that you would think to use them, because lines actually make up a lot of things. So I tried to just experiment with doing different things. I did this little like fishbone type of pattern here with the little zigzaggies, and then after that it was time to finish out the final 2 boxes. I just did some regular stripes on that one, but then for this one I got a little bit more creative again and did some little bumblebee honeycomb shapes on this side. Or, you know, a hexagon shape. But this is what I was left with. So now it's time to add in some color. So I'm using my highlighters to do this. I just felt like it would be a fun way to add a little bit of color to the design without taking away the stripes and the elements of the line art. So first I went ahead and used blue and just put it everywhere that I felt like it would be good, and just kind of went with the flow and just kind of put it all over every single pattern wherever I felt like it needed it, just to kind of have fun with it. I wanted all of them to be super colorful and just kind of crazy and sporadic. So then it was time to work on the square designs. So next I used yellow, and then I used pink, and since yellow and blue make green, I put green inside of those interlapping boxes, and then since red and yellow make orange, I then put orange inside of those interlinking boxes. So then it was time to move on and use pink everywhere else. So I decided to make the little hexagons pink because I felt like that would be a super cute color, and I added a little bit darker of an edge to really make sure you could see the lines and the shapes shine through. And then it was time to add pink everywhere else too, because I do really like the pink. This yellow though is an unbelievably electric yellow. Like, look how bright and vibrant that is. It looks like I'm painting with light. But then here were all of the patterns that I came up with, and I decided to make the hexagon pattern bigger and more colorful. I decided to just go in straight with the marker and not even use a pencil, so some of them ended up looking a little bit wonky and definitely not like perfect hexagons, but you still get the point, and I still used lines. They're just not perfect lines. I don't know if they're straight lines, but I did try my best. And now I'm going in with just a whole bunch of colors wherever I feel like it to really make this pattern a lot of fun and to make it more colorful. And this is how it turned out. That yellow is super bright and electric, and this was a lot of fun. You can create a lot with lines. But now it's time for the next prompt, which is to create weather-based decor. So it is currently the beginning of spring, and it feels like spring outside. It's been a little warmer, a little sunnier, and I am definitely feeling those vibes. So I'm creating spring-based decor on this page. When I think of spring, I definitely think of nature and how everything's coming to life again after a dead winter. So I'm making a little flower watering can, and then I'm also making a whole bunch of little tulip flowers that are all put together in a cute little bow. And then I'm also making a butterfly because we need the butterflies to pollinate all of the new flowers. And then I just decorated the page with some surrounding flowers. And I also think about Easter when I think about spring, because typically that is the holiday surrounding spring. So I decided to draw in a cute little bunny because there's also a lot of new little animal life in the spring. And then I decided to draw an Easter egg next to this cute little bunny to kind of add to the Easter effect. You know, the bunny was really hard to draw though to get right. But then I decided to just add in a simple egg with a couple of little designs and patterns. But then another thing obviously that Easter is about Jesus Christ and him rising from the grave. So that's what I'm doing as well, putting in an open grave and an open tomb and saying he is risen, it's empty, and then also doing the crosses. And after that, it was time to outline all of my designs and make them finalized. So I just went around with this black marker and decided to outline everything, make it a little more in my style, and make it all a little bit more bold. So this is always a fun part, getting to see your designs come to life and become a little bit neater and not so sketchy and not so messy. So after I had finished drawing everything in again with this marker, making sure it was all outlined nice and neat, then it was finally time to go in with my colors after erasing the pencil. And of course, I'm using my Ohuhu markers here. You know I love my Ohuhu markers. These are the colors that I have, so I'm going in and just starting off first with the butterfly. I want to make this butterfly blue, not really for any particular reason, although blue is my favorite color. I just felt like blue would be a pretty color and complement the colors of spring. So after I went in with blue, I decided to add in some blue gel pen details to really make the butterfly pop and to bring out some more blue of the design. And then after that, added in some white gel pen details for the smaller little things on the butterfly, the little spots, and that's how it turned out, super shiny and bright. And then it was time to work on the watering can. I wanted to add a little design onto the watering can, so I added a darker green and made little flowers, and then used green to color in the stems of the flowers as well over here in this little tulip bouquet. And then it was time to actually go in with the pink for the flowers. Of course, we have to make them pink because it's me, so I'm gonna make the flowers pink. And then after I made them pink, it was time to kind of add some little elements of those colors all around everywhere else, so this drawing looked cohesive and looked like it went together a little bit more. And of course, I added in my white gel pen highlights to the flowers and the watering can as well. I decided that it still needed a little bit more, so I went ahead and added a shadow to everything to make it look like it sat on the page just a little bit more. And then this design was done, so it's time for the next page. This page has all of the Eastery things on it, so I went ahead and decided to make this one a little bit more detailed, specifically the tomb. So I wanted to add a whole bunch of different layers and shades of brown to give it a little more depth, dimension, and detail for this one. And then I decided to take that same brown and do it over the crosses as well. Those ones are a little bit more of a loose design, more representative. And then it was time to go ahead and decorate the Easter egg. I decided to bring over some of those pastel colors from the right side of the page onto this side as well, just to complement everything a little bit more and to bring in those spring colors. So I went ahead and did that, and then I added in a dark purple on the Easter egg as well to bring out that little chevron design pattern that we have on the Easter egg. And then the bunny got a little purple background, and so did everything else on this page as well, to again ground it onto the page. And then it was time to actually put these into the Create This book after giving it a little touch of gel pen design. So here they are. I think they're both super cute and a lot of fun in their own ways, and I love how they turned out. I think they're so beautiful. Definitely screams spring to me, and I'm so excited that spring is finally here. But now it's time for the last prompt of the day, which is to create drawing variation. So I'm supposed to draw the same thing over and over again, but in different ways and in different styles. So I thought a really cool way to do this would to be doing that little drawing challenge that you see all the time everywhere, where you draw the same character but in different styles. So I decided to pick Ariel from The Little Mermaid and draw her in a whole bunch of different styles and ways, such as the Disney version, a realistic version, a cartoon version, and a comic book version. So first I'm starting out with the Disney version and just going ahead and trying to make it look exactly like how she does in the original Disney movie. To do that, I'm adding in line art, and then I'm going to use colored pencils on all of these to color them in. So for the Disney version in particular, it is a solid flat color. There's really no shading or anything like that. Everything is just super flat, one color. So that's what I'm sticking with to really make the style show through. So I'm trying to use these different techniques in all of these ways to try to make them all look different but similar. So now it's time to work on the realistic version. So I'm trying to make the hair have a little bit more texture and make it look a little more like real hair does, adding in a real eyebrow instead of just a drawn on line. And then I'm working on shading everything to make the skin tone look a little bit more realistic too. I even added in a little bit touches of yellow to it to make the skin have have a little bit of a more realistic feel to it. And then it was time to work on her eye, which is not just a solid blue this time. It's got a lot of layers and dimension in it, even adding in those little eyelash details. And then it's time to finish out the hair, which I'm making extra bright red and adding in some brown shading and lines to try to make it look a little bit more realistic. And now it is time for the comic book version. So comic books usually have a strong outline, and then I decided to make this very stylized and do a whole bunch of little dots like old comic books used to do, just to really sell the idea that this is different than the other ones, and this one is a little bit more comic booky and a little bit more interpreted that way, but I think it still comes across really well. And then I also did the hair and the little dots as well, just to really again sell that idea of a comic book. And then it was time for the last one, which was cartoon. So I decided to give this one a strong outline as well, but to make it a little bit more playful in that way. And then for the colors, I decided to do strong flat colors, but to give them shading as well, but shading in also a really flat, specifically shaped kind of way to really make it have that cartoon edge that cartoons typically have. And then I decided to go ahead and make the hair all flat, one color as well, and to try and make the outfit that same way too, just to really make it scream cartoon, and I definitely think that it does. So here's how it turned out overall, and here's each section individually. We have the Disney side, the realism side, then we have the cartoon side, and finally the comic book side. So here it is all together again, and I just decided to label them all so I remembered what was what, and I think it turned out so cool, and this was such a fun prompt, and this was actually really fun to do. But now let's take a look back at the first prompt from the day. The first prompt was to create straight lines, so I used a ruler to create a whole bunch of different straight line designs and patterns, and finally landed on this hexagon pattern and made it super colorful. Next up was to decorate the page according to the season, and it is spring, so I decided to decorate this page with Easter and spring things. And finally, the last page was to create variation, so I drew Ariel in a whole bunch of different styles, which was so much fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite prompt from today was. I loved all of them, but especially the last one. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.